Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about the book Bad Blood Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. This book focuses on the rise and eventual collapse of a company called Theranos, which at one point was valued at around $9 billion before everything completely fell apart. So, to start off, Theranos was founded in 2003 by Elizabeth Holmes, who actually dropped out of Stanford when she was just 19 years old. Her idea was to completely change the way blood testing worked. Instead of needing large vials of blood and long wait times for results, she claimed her company could run hundreds of tests in just a few drops of blood from a finger prick. Obviously, that's a big deal, and especially in healthcare, where faster and cheaper testing could make a huge difference. Because of how promising the idea was, the company quickly gained attention from investors. Theranos raised hundreds of millions of dollars and built a really strong reputation in Silicon Valley. Holmes also surrounded herself with a board of directors made up of well-known political and military figures, which made the company look even more credible. At one point, she was even being compared to people like Steve Jobs, and she became one of the youngest self-made billionaires. But as the book goes on, you start to see that things inside the company nearly weren't as successful as they seemed from the outside. The technology that Theranos was promoting, especially their main device called the Edison machine, didn't work the way they claimed. Employees inside the company knew the results were also often inaccurate, and in many cases they had to secretly use traditional lab equipment to run tests instead. One of the most interesting parts of the book is how the company handled these problems. Instead of being honest about the issues and trying to fix them, Theranos created a culture of secrecy. Employees were discouraged from asking questions, and people who raised concerns were often ignored or pushed out of the company completely. This allowed the company to continue presenting itself as a very successful company, even though there was major issues behind the scenes. Eventually, some employees decided to speak out, which is where John Carreyrou comes into the story. As an investigative journalist for the Wall Street Journal, he started looking into Theranos and talking to former employees. Though his investigation, he found evidence that the company has been misleading investors, doctors, and even patients about their technology. Once his articles were published, everything started to fall apart very quickly. Regulators got involved, partnerships with companies like Walgreens ended, and investors began to lose confidence. By 2018, the company had completely shut down, and Elizabeth Holmes, along with another executive, was later charged with fraud. From my perspective, I think one of the biggest takeaways from this book is how powerful hype and storytelling can be when it comes to investing. A lot of investors don't fully understand the technology, but they believed in the idea and the potential that it had to be big and increase profits drastically. This shows how important it is to actually verify information and not just rely on what a company is claiming. Another important lesson is the role of due diligence. In finance, you're supposed to carefully analyze a company before investing in it. But in this case, it seems like many investors skipped the step or didn't go deep enough, which allowed the company to keep raising money even though the product didn't work. Overall, I think Bad Blood is a really interesting and important book, especially for people just studying business and finance. It shows how quickly a company can grow based on hype, strong ideas, investor confidence, but it also shows just how quickly everything can go downhill when there's a lack of honesty and transparency within a company. In the end, the biggest thing I took away from this book is that no matter how good an idea sounds, it has to be backed by real results. As a future professionals in finance, it's important for us to stay skeptical, even ask the questions most people don't, and really understand what we're investing instead of just following the hype. Sometimes things are too good to be true. Do your due diligence.